Alright, so welcome back to another live version of Cooking with a Veteran. I'm your host, Dave Rogers. You notice today I'm wearing some gloves. That's because this is kind of a messy meal that I'm making here. And today what I'm going to be making is buttermilk fried chicken. And this is a recipe that I learned when I was living down in Georgia, stationed down in Georgia, at Hunter Army Airfield. I met this woman and we dated for a while. I know half my story started with a woman I was dating for a while. And she taught me how to make buttermilk fried chicken. So let's talk about the ingredients, okay? I have my chicken. I'm using, now you can use, whatever parts of the chicken you want, chicken legs, breast, thigh. You can take a whole chicken, cut it up, and do it that way. I'm using some boneless breast because it's just easier to cook. And I want to just get through this and show you how to do it. And what I did was I cut the chicken breast up into smaller slices, almost like chicken tenders. I added in some paprika, some cayenne pepper. I did a ginger and garlic mince that I added in there. Some white pepper, some black pepper, a little bit of salt, some rosemary, some thyme, some oregano. I made like a little kind of an Italian seasoning with some dried Italian seasoning. Then I mixed that all in there. Then I put in the buttermilk. I mixed that all in there. And I let that sit in the refrigerator for about 6 hours. Because you really want that all to absorb into the chicken. So now that that's sat for 6 hours, I got my flour here. Okay, I'm going to add in some more paprika. And my little twist to this is I add a little bit of Cajun seasoning also. Okay, so I'm going to add that in there. I'm going to add in some white pepper. I'm going to add in a little black pepper. Again, I like my food spicy, so I'm adding in some of my dried out red pepper, some salt, my adobo, and my rosemary, thyme, oregano, parsley, mixture. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mix that all in there, and what's going to happen is that seasoning that I put in, excuse me, sometimes the dust comes up, that seasoning that I put in is going to be within the crust, okay, that crust layer on the outside of the chicken, and you're going to taste that seasoning in the outside of the chicken. Okay, and that's why I put the seasoning inside, so that you taste seasoning also on the inside. Alright, so I got my stuff all here. I'm back. I'm cooking with my cast iron pot, you see. I filled it up about a little more than a quarter way with some shortening. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get this. I'm going to put it on medium. I don't want to put it on high because I don't want it to cook I don't want it to heat up too fast. And then the oil just starts boiling all over the place, right? So I'm going to let that oil heat up, and while that's doing that, I'm going to take my chicken, okay? I'm going to simply put it into the flour, shake, and put it to the side. And because it's Southern fried chicken, this is done strictly with flour. This is not done with breadcrumbs. You don't need eggs for this. Like I said, the buttermilk will absorb up all that seasoning. So like I said, I learned this down in Georgia. I didn't really know how good fried chicken can taste until I was stationed down in Georgia. And they have these competitions all over the place for fried chicken. And some of the people that go out and they do these competitions, they really do an amazing job coming up with different ways to prepare the chicken. As you can see, as I'm doing these, it's creating that breading around it, right? And that's what you want. You want it to create that breading around it. And like I said, you can do this with, I've done this with, actually I've done this once before with a whole chicken. I had a deep fryer, and I stuck the whole chicken into a deep fryer, and it came out amazing. My trick there was that I also breaded the inside of the chicken. not just the outside. You want it to cook all the way through, and you don't want to block the inside. I've seen people close up the inside, and then when they pull it out of the fryer, they realize the inside is not cooked properly. You want to leave it open when you do something like that. All right, so I almost got all my pieces breaded here. And you notice that I said when I was setting up my pot, you notice that I said that I was using shortening. Southern fried chicken is not Southern fried chicken if you use olive oil, okay? It just doesn't work the same. It doesn't taste the same. Good Southern fried chicken, actually if you want to get really traditional, good Southern fried chicken is done with lard. I'm not trying to clog up my arteries, but you know, you can use a nice shortening which works just as well. And you want to be careful when you're putting the chicken in, as well as when you're taking it out, you know, because the oil will be very hot. You don't want to burn yourself, obviously. So you want to be really careful when you're doing that. All right, so I got my chicken here. And you notice here that I have a strainer with some tissue paper underneath it. All right, I don't put the chicken directly on tissue paper because I don't want it sticking to the tissue paper with the oil. But I do want to drain the oil, and I want it to go down, okay, and get away from the chicken so that I don't have that excess oil on it. All right, so I can feel the heat now. My oil is going. This time I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to place in my chicken. And the way that you know that it's cooking and not just sitting in lukewarm oil is that it's bubbling up around the chicken. And you notice I'm not just dropping them in. I'm kind of like placing the bottom and then letting them kind of float in. Again, you don't want the oil coming up and hitting you. And I'm going to let those fry up for a couple of minutes and really get them going. And you can see they're frying up nicely. Right? I know this is a change from my normal cooking. I normally cook things that are heavy but still very healthy. Not saying this isn't healthy, but it's not the best for you. Part of the reason, and those that know me, that I lost so much weight this year is that I haven't eaten any real fried foods this year. Okay? Once in a while, but truthfully, I mean like French fries and stuff, but truthfully I stuck away from fried foods this year. Now, and those are going nicely. So I'm going to let these cook until they're golden brown on the outside. I'm going to dip them into my towel here to let them drain out. And then I'll let them cool for about 3 minutes before I serve them. They're almost done. The outside is starting to turn to a nice golden brown. And you notice every once in a while, I rotate them a little bit, and that's because I didn't put these in deep oil, all right? I put them in just enough oil to cook, and I don't want the bottoms to burn. So I'm rotating them every once in a while to make sure that they cook evenly on both sides. Now, if you're not sure if the chicken is cooking all the way through, you can take one of your bigger pieces when it first comes out, and you can just cut that piece open. And then you'll see if it's cooking all the way through. Put it on my cutting block here. I'm going to cut. And it's still pink inside, so that means it still has time to go. Alright, so that oil is going nicely. It should be done in about another minute. This is a great snack. This is also good, on a nice warm day, because you can eat the chicken fingers like this. You can eat them, they don't have to be hot. Okay, I like them in a nice sandwich sometimes. And you notice I'm keeping my distance, right? Again, you want to be careful. The oil is very hot. You don't want it splashing up on you. I'm going to take another one. I'm going to test it out. See where it sits. Ah, beautiful. Okay, so it's white all the way through. Let me show you that so you can see it's white all the way through. That means that it's cooked. Okay, that means I'm going to go ahead at this time and these pieces are done. And again, I'm going to let them sit, let the oil drain off of them for about 3 to 5 minutes, but I'm not getting a mouthful of oil, but I'm tasting that flavor from the seasoning. Anyway, that's how you make buttermilk fried chicken. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Cooking with a Veteran. You know, if you like our episodes, make sure that you like and share the link below. And as always, if you have a suggestion of something you'd like to see me cook, go ahead and send me a message. Until next time, hoorah.